SuperTalk Mississippi media production.
Oh, yeah.
Good morning, Mississippi.
Everything gonna be all right this morning.
Mornings with Richard Cross.
Oh, yeah.
Here on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Woo! Now, when I was a young boy, at the age of 5, my mother said I was gonna be the greatest man alive. But now I'm a man, way past 21.
Good morning. Welcome in. Mornings with Richard Cross, SuperTalk Mississippi. Streaming online at supertalk.fm, SuperTalk TV, on your SuperTalk Mississippi radio stations all across the state. We thank you for tuning in. We thank you for being part of this family and for being part of the conversation. The C Spire text line is open at 601-879-4395. Again, 601-879-4395. The Black Friday and Cyber Monday deals are already here at C Spire. Online, you can find those deals right now. You don't have to wait for Black Friday or Cyber Monday. Check them out online at cspire.com. C Spire, inspired by you. Mornings is presented by Community Bank, online at communitybank.net. Community Bank, rooted in our community. I would implore you this morning, or just ask, give us an update on your weather situation. A pretty severe line of thunderstorms made its way through the metro area about 3 a.m., 2:30. And kind of continued moving off to the north and the east. There were tornado warnings, there were thunderstorm warnings in a bunch of different places. There's some wind damage that we are aware of in different spots. And let us know whether you've got pictures that you can send on the C Spire text line or more. We would love to see those this morning. Lance, you. Rankin County is home base for you. You heard the sirens going off last night?
Oh, yeah. There was a bunch of sirens. It was around 2, I would guess, 2:30, and they moved on down to Flowood and then over into the Clinton area. You could kind of hear them moving around all over the place. So it looked like it was a potential touchdown out west of town and moving east. So, yeah, the sirens were doing their job last night.
What did it look like on your drive in this morning?
Wet, a lot of leaves that have been, accumulating in places. That would be my advice, is if you go through low spots and it's wooded and, the rain came in quickly, probably a couple of inches in a lot of areas, maybe a little more, a little less. So just be really careful because it was, there's some challenges when it's dark, much more so than when it's light. So just take it easy.
Hope that you and yours are okay this morning. Trying to gather as much information as we can about that. Lance, just candidly, we were talking, and he mentioned the storms. I was like, the storms? I was like, it rained. It rained where I am, but had not seen that information yet this morning, so trying to put it together as best we can. There are parts of the state of Mississippi where you've got thunderstorms that you're still going to be dealing with this morning. Corinth, some isolated thunderstorms, then skies turning partly cloudy, a high of 67 for you today with winds out of the southwest at 10 to 15 miles per hour. About a 30% chance of rain. Starkville, thunderstorms this morning, then skies turning partly cloudy later in the day. Gusty winds and small hail are possible. High near 70. Winds out of the west, southwest at 5 to 10 miles per hour. The chance of rain for you in Starkville this morning, 70%. Port Gibson, southwest Mississippi. Showers likely along with a possible rumble of thunder this morning. Partly cloudy later in the day. Gusty winds, small hail possible, 74 for the high. Winds out of the west. Chance of rain, 80% for you. And in Poplarville, mixed clouds and sun with some scattered thunderstorms, gusty winds, small hail possible with a high near 80. 10 to 15 mile-an-hour winds out of the southwest, 50% chance of rain today in Poplarville. And if you've looked really from wherever you are in Mississippi at the extended forecast, which is now just a couple of days away, it's going to be a whole lot cooler for Thanksgiving. It's going to be a lot cooler for the Egg Bowl, and it's really overnight tonight when that is going to change. Today, kind of the last day where you're going to get those temperatures up around 70, maybe into the mid-70s, and then tomorrow, North Mississippi, highs in the low 50s with lows in the lower 30s, maybe even the upper 20s in some cases. And it looks like we're going to settle into the cooler, more fall/winter-like temperatures over the course of the next couple of weeks, with highs not getting back to 60 until, I don't know when. I mean, you might get it in mid-December. It might be March. We'll see how long we have to wait. C-Spire text line 601-879-4395. Ray sends us a picture from I-10 in Biloxi, and just gorgeous. I think that's called Daybreak. Absolutely beautiful there. If you got pics or updates for us all across the state of Mississippi, please let us know. Jason in Starkville says, what days are you fellas off? Thursday and Friday. Be off for Thanksgiving on Thursday, and then on Friday you will have a special edition of Sports Talk Mississippi in this time slot. So at, what time is it? 12 minutes after 6, Brian Haydad and Michael Borky will be with you to get you ready for the Egg Bowl. Ole Miss and Mississippi State playing on Saturday in Starkville. Andrew Carnegie was born on this day in 1835, the Scottish-American industrialist, steel tycoon, and philanthropist, and one of the richest Americans to ever live. Born in Scotland, but became an American. Joe DiMaggio, he was born in America and became an American hero. Baseball Hall of Famer, center fielder with the New York Yankees, 13 times an All-Star, 9 times in the World Series, 3 times an MVP in the American League. Has a Major League Baseball record 56-game hitting streak that stands today. Will it be broken, Lance? Or is that one?
I don't know. That's, if anyone could have done it, I mean, Ichiro could have, and there's been a couple of others since that time period. I just don't know, man. I mean, the way the game's played today, it's much more home run driven and doubles driven. I don't know if it'll ever be broken with the way it's played now, if it wasn't already when smaller ball was a little bit more prevalent. That's just my take.
Feels like there would have to be a philosophical shift in approach for hitters.
Yeah, that's my whole point.
Yeah.
And I love the game
where you are today.
I love the game the way it is today. It's just, it's different, and you don't see near as many people having such long hitting streaks, and that, you know, that's the way the sabermetrics rolls, right?
Yeah. Joe Gibbs is 85 today. He's born in 1940, an American Pro Football Hall of Fame coach, a Super Bowl champion as a head coach with the Washington Redskins in 1982, 87, and 91. Twice he was named NFL Coach of the Year in 1982 and 83, and then he retired and decided, you know, I think I'll own an auto racing team. And all they did, Gibbs Racing, is go out and win 5 NASCAR Cup Series titles. He was born in Mocksville, North Carolina. That was old stock car country. 2 pretty impressive. He's going to be a Hall of Famer. If he's not in the Auto Racing Hall of Fame, surely he is. But if he's not, he will be. John F. Kennedy Jr. was born on this day in 1960, the American magazine publisher, lawyer, and son of JFK. Born in New York City, died in a plane crash in 1999. Christina Applegate was born on this day in 1971. For those of you who grew up in the 90s watching everything that was on television, Christina Applegate, daughter of Al and Peggy. What was her name?
I don't know, but I know Bundy.
On Married with Children?
Yeah. Not sure. You got me there, but I know the Bundys, that was Al and Peggy, yeah. And you had Bud. I can't remember her name.
I don't remember. Or she was the airhead daughter that was really pretty. Also Dead to Me, one of the places she was in. She's born in Hollywood, California. Fitting there. We thank you to the people in 1905 that paved the way for us today. The first ad for a radio set happened in 1905. The first telegraph transmitter with a 1-mile range is advertised in Scientific American for $8.50. This day in 1949, Gene Autry's single Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer appeared on music charts after songwriter Johnny Marks adapted a poem written by his brother-in-law, Robert May, for Montgomery Ward department stores. We got news headlines coming up, a few more things that have happened on this day in history. We'll get to your messages on the C Spire text line and more. Thanks for being with us. Mornings with Richard Cross, Super Talk, Mississippi.
Hallelujah, by and by, I'll fly away. When the shadows of this life have gone, I'll fly away.
From Sumner to Summit to Summerall, Richard has something for you. Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk, Mississippi.
To those of you who reminded us on the C Spire text line that Al and Peggy's daughter of the Bundy family was Kelly, thank you, played by Christina Applegate, who is celebrating a birthday today. I'm assuming she's celebrating a birthday. Now dealing with MS. So today in 1979, Pat Summerall and John Madden broadcast a game together for the very first time, a pairing that would last 22 years and become one of the most well-known partnerships in TV sports broadcasting history. You can always count on Pat and John on Thanksgiving Day for, were they always in Detroit, or did they rotate back and forth between Detroit and Dallas?
No, I have no idea.
And they rotated back and forth, and of course Madden he'd roll out that turkey that had about 8 legs on it, genetically modified turkey. Pat Summerall, the father of White House Chief of Staff Susie Wiles.
Wasn't it a turducken?
They would do the turducken. Done that several times. It's a very Louisiana thing. 1980, Sugar Ray Leonard regained the WBC welterweight boxing crown when Roberto Duran quit in the middle of the 8th round of the infamous No Mas fight at the Superdome in New Orleans. 2014, 11 years ago, when Missouri Governor Jay Nixon ordered hundreds more National Guard troops to the town of Ferguson to try to prevent a second night of rioting and looting. I remember watching that in real time and thinking, is this in the United States? Right outside of St. Louis. 6 years ago, 2019, Baltimore's second-year quarterback Lamar Jackson became the first quarterback in NFL history to throw for 3,000 yards and rush for 1,500 yards in his first 2 NFL seasons. Did so when the Ravens smoked the L.A. Rams. Caitlin Clark made her collegiate debut on this day in 2020 for the Iowa Hawkeyes. Maybe we should have known when in her freshman debut she scored 27 points with 8 rebounds and 4 assists against Northern Iowa. 2 more for you. Also in 2020, the New York Times named its 25 greatest actors of the 21st century. Denzel Washington was ranked number 1. And a year ago today, the United States Justice Department Special Counsel Jack Smith requested and was granted dismissal of pending charges against Donald Trump based on their policy that indicting or trying a sitting president would violate the Constitution and interfere with the working of the executive branch. Some of the things that happened on this day in history. News headlines for you. The Emmett Till Interpretive Center has acquired the Drew, Mississippi barn where the civil rights icon was tortured and killed in 1955. Officials with the organization dedicated to accurately portraying the history and legacy of Till's death announced the acquisition was made possible through the generosity of the Rhimes Foundation, started by popular television producer and screenwriter Shonda Rhimes. The announcement was made this past Sunday, which would have been the 104th birthday of Mamie Till Mobley, Emmett Till's mother, whose decision to let the world see 14-year-old Emmett Till's son brutalized body via an open casket and transformed a lynching that happened in Mississippi into a catalyst for the civil rights movement. Executive Director Patrick Weems said, "This is a monumental achievement in our mission to preserve the complete truth of Emmett Till's story. Without this purchase, the sacred ground could have been destroyed or lost forever. We saved it so that truth could keep shaping us and future generations can stand where history happened." The Emmett Till Interpretive Center touts the latest update as its most significant preservation achievement, building on nearly 2 decades of work in the Mississippi Delta. You had a high school football and basketball player from Amite County who was killed in a shooting. Officials report that Rewan Clark, 17 years old, died following a round of gunfire that rang out in the Gloucester area on Saturday night. Multiple others were struck in the shooting, but their identities and condition have not been released. Clark was a senior at Amite County High School. He is listed on the Trojans football roster as a wide receiver and as a defensive back. The message that the Amite County School District posted said, "It is with continued and heartfelt sorrow that we acknowledge the loss of one of our seniors, Rewan Clark." I apologize if I'm not pronouncing that. It's either Rajon or Rewan, maybe Rajon, who passed away on Saturday, November 22nd. He was a bright presence on our campus, respected by his peers, cherished by his teachers, and deeply loved by all who had the honor of knowing him. He was an exceptional athlete whose dedication, talent, and spirit inspired both his teammates and the entire school community. His absence leaves a tremendous void in our hearts. Tragic and unnecessary. Big announcement from Mississippi State yesterday. Country music star Zach Bryan will be making a stop at Davis-Wade Stadium in 2026. Officials announced yesterday that Bryan will perform in the football stadium May 2nd. The announcement comes less than a month after the university's athletics department partnered with Nashville-based Peachtree Entertainment to bring more concerts to campus. Zach Bryan, one of the biggest names in country and Americana music today, is known for award-winning and chart-topping hits like Something in the Orange, I Remember Everything, Heading South, and Dawns. This concert at Davis-Wade will be the first live music performance in the venue since 2012, and it's going to be the first full stadium show in Davis-Wade Stadium history. Upcoming tour for Zach Bryan will span 40 dates across North America and Europe. Tickets go on sale December 5th.
That'll be cool, man.
Yeah, it will be.
Yeah, I love a stadium show. It's been a while, but I know Morgan Wallen, they had a big old time in Oxford.
A couple of
them, yeah.
A couple of times. In fact, the first time there was such a big time had, apparently, that had to cancel the second show. Ask me how I know. I was there for that second night for all the warm-up acts, and then the sign came on the video board, said, due to, loss of voice? I've got a picture of that somewhere. I had a not-so-happy 13-year-old daughter when that all happened.
I can imagine,
okay. Yeah, that was a birthday present. With Thanksgiving quickly approaching, many Americans are expected to be on the move, to be with family or friends, or just to go to a place to eat turkey and dressing. AAA is projecting that nearly 82 million Americans will travel at least 50 miles away from home during the Thanksgiving holiday period. That starts today and goes through Monday. Man, Monday going to be December 1st. This year's domestic travel forecast is projecting about 1.5 million more travelers than we had a year ago, which would mark a new United States record. Vice President of Travel at AAA, Stacy Barber, says Thanksgiving travel numbers are always impressive because the holiday has become synonymous with heading out of town to spend time with loved ones. People are willing to brave the crowds and make last-minute adjustments to their plans to make lifelong memories, whether it's visiting extended family or meeting up with friends. Of the nearly 82 million projected travelers domestically, the majority expected to use cars as their mode of transportation. AAA projects at least 73 million people will travel via the roadways, making for an additional 1.3 million drivers compared to last year. AAA says don't worry about gas, especially if you live in Mississippi. Gas prices have remained the cheapest here in the nation and should remain the cheapest all the way through Christmas and the New Year holidays. That is good. AAA says we've seen gas prices holding steady for about the past week at roughly $2.60 a gallon, still considerable savings from where we were a year ago. Once we get past Thanksgiving, we'll see those prices continue to drop as we move into the Christmas and New Year's holidays. The national average on a gallon of gas, regular, unleaded, hovering at about $3.10 a gallon. And air traffic is expected to be significant as well. AAA projecting 6 million Americans will take to the air. It's a slight increase over a year ago, about a 2% increase. Travel by other modes, including bus, train, and cruise, are expected to increase year over year by 8.5%. Nearly 2.5 million people going to travel that way. All that to say, be careful on the roadways. It's going to be a lot of people out and about. What's your holiday season from now through the new year, and really all the times, to be safe so that it can be enjoyable. Those are your news headlines on this Tuesday morning, the 25th of November. It's Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk, Mississippi. Your morning sports update presented by Pearl River Resort is up next.
One early morning, one late at night.
From the Seabrook Doctor. The coffee is on, and you're starting your day right. Mornings with Richard Cross, here on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Yeah, he gets off on country music, 'cause disco left him cold. And he's got young friends and a new wave, but he's just too friggin' old. At night at Woodstock and the day John Lennon died. How the music made him happy and the silence made him cry. Yeah, he thinks of John sometimes, and he has to wonder why. 'Cause he's an old...
Great to be with you on this Tuesday morning, the 25th of November. Lots of you will begin your Thanksgiving festivities today, perhaps hitting the road to go see family, friends, or others. And we hope you'll be careful. We wish you a happy Thanksgiving. We will be with you again tomorrow morning, live, as always. And then on Thursday, you'll get a best of Mornings with Richard Cross right here on SuperTalk, Mississippi. That'll be in the normal time slot from 6 to 9, but if you send us a message on the C Spire text line and don't get a response, that's why. And then on Friday morning, Sports Talk Mississippi will take over this time slot to get you ready for the Egg Bowl, the battle for the Golden Egg between Mississippi State and Ole Miss. There's an 11 a.m. kickoff for that game. So Sports Talk Mississippi during the morning's time slot from 6 until 9, and then we'll hand things off to the Ole Miss Radio Network, the Mississippi State Radio Network, with their network pregame shows that will start at 9 o'clock and take you up until kickoff at 11. Game, by the way, being televised on ABC with the kickoff just after 11 o'clock. An exciting finish last night in Starkville for the Mississippi State basketball team. Reserve Amir Ali scored 16 points and banked in a three-pointer with just 1.9 seconds left in overtime to help Mississippi State avoid an upset. They beat New Orleans 81-78. Big night for Josh Hubbard. He scored 28 points, had a big three late in regulation that gave Mississippi State a chance. Jabari McGee scored 16 points. Quincy Ballard had 11 for the Bulldogs, who improved to 3-3 on the year. It was a wild finish with the ball outside the arc. Ali dribbled off to his right, off a screen set by Josh Hubbard. Hit a high-arcing, banked-in game winner. Then after a timeout with just 1.9 seconds left, he stole the ball to end the game. Getting it to overtime, Sean Jones made one of two foul shots with 3 seconds left to bring Mississippi State into a 68-68 tie to force the overtime period. New Orleans, one of their players gave the Privateers a lead with 22 seconds left. Made a bucket to make it 68-67. Mississippi State has won 10 of the last 11 meetings against the Privateers of UNO. That is a disastrous loss averted for Mississippi State. Haven't played great basketball early in the season, but a big win, maybe that's the one that sparks them. Southern Miss coming off a good weekend. They played in the Pensacola Invitational this past weekend and were crowned champions after they cruised to a 10-point 70-60 win over UT Martin on Sunday afternoon. The most recent victory followed their win over North Florida on Saturday. For their efforts on the floor, Tylik Weeks was named the Pensacola Invitational MVP. Dejahi Benet and Isaac Tavares were added to the all-tournament team. The Golden Eagles will enjoy the Thanksgiving break before heading to Radford and Miami for a 2-game road swing. The first game a week from tomorrow, December 3rd, against the Highlanders. Tip-off from Radford slated for 6 p.m. Central. There has been a lot of talk about expanding the college football playoff once again, taking it to 16 teams, but the calendar was getting in the way of the negotiations continuing. There was an initial deadline of December 1st to get a new format and related structural decisions in place. Yesterday, the College Football Playoff and ESPN agreed to extend the deadline to determine if there will be any changes made to the playoff for the 2026 season and beyond. The new deadline for completing the format and related issues is January 23rd. Rich Clark, who's the executive director of the College Football Playoff, said, "We appreciate the continued partnership and collaboration with ESPN as we work through the important elements that will shape the future of the CFP. While no change to the current format is definite, this extension will allow the management committee additional time to evaluate the second year of the expanded playoff and ensure any potential modifications are carefully considered and fully vetted." There's some that say it also gives the committee a chance to see how the selection goes during year 2. What does that mean? It means, are the Big Ten and or the SEC going to be mad about the number of teams that they get into the playoff and therefore make it bigger? I think ultimately that's what it means. Let's see here. No decision in sight. The 10 FBF commissioners and Notre Dame athletics director Pete Bavacqua have more time to see if the Big Ten commissioner Tony Petitti and SEC commissioner Greg Sankey can reach an agreement. Those are the two that have to be in agreement to get this to move. If not, they both said sticking with the 12-team format is okay for another year. Under the new 6-year agreement, which begins next year, the Big Ten and SEC have the bulk of control over the future format. That was agreed to in negotiations a couple of years ago. Earlier this month, the Power 4 commissioners met in Charlotte. Tony Petitti of the Big Ten was explaining why the Big Ten wanted to go to a 24-team format. I'm all for an expanded playoff. 24 seems a bit much.
Again, a lot of teams that probably aren't deserving will get in with that many, I think.
You get a bid, and you get a bid, and you get a bid, and you get a bid. All the people are included.
It seems that it would diminish the regular season even more, though, too.
It does. Although there were a lot of people that said going to a 12-team format was going to diminish the regular season, and that has been anything but. I mean, we've got a ton of drama going into the final weekend of the regular season. A ton. The Ole Miss men's basketball team will get back into action tonight when they take on undefeated Iowa in Palm Springs, California. They are playing in Acrisure Arena, part of the Acrisure Classic. Tip-off for that game is at 8:30 Central Time. You can watch it tonight on CBS Sports Network. ESPN's matchup predictor gives Ole Miss a 64% chance to win the game. Rebels are led by the transfer from France, playing pro ball in France, Ilias Kamerdine. He's averaging almost 16 points per game while shooting 57% from the field. Rebels as a team scoring 82 points a game and giving up 65 points per game. The latest development in the LSU Brian Kelly saga, not the LSU Lane Kiffin saga, but the LSU Brian Kelly saga, the coach that they fired a little bit over a month ago. Brian Kelly's attorneys have informed LSU in a letter that the school's claim that it had not formally terminated Kelly as its football coach has made it nearly impossible for him to get another coaching job. According to the letter, which was sent last week to the new athletics director at LSU, Verge Ausberry, and the Board of Supervisors, Kelly said that he reserves all rights to seek any and all damages to the fullest extent permitted by law for interference in any potential job candidacy. Goes on to say that LSU's conduct continues to harm Coach Kelly, particularly during this critical hiring period. LSU declined comment. Last Friday, the LSU Board of Supervisors voted to allow the new school president to formally terminate Kelly. This is like the behind-the-scenes legalese that we don't usually see when a coach is fired. Normally, when an athletics director makes the announcement that a coach is fired, they kick him out. They tell him that he doesn't need to come to senior day, even though his son is one of the seniors being honored. That means that he's fired. But LSU has a process in which they must formally notify their football coach, in this case, that he has been terminated. Doesn't it feel like there's an element of it? If it looks like a duck and it walks like a duck, then it's probably a duck? I don't know how the courts in the state of Louisiana are going to see that, though. Go figure. Kelly came to LSU from Notre Dame in 2022. He went 34-14 overall. Previous coaching stops at Cincinnati, Central Michigan, Grand Valley State. Won a couple of national titles there. He did not win a national title in Baton Rouge, which is probably one of the reasons that they decided to part ways with the Midwesterner turned Louisianan. Never quite ingratiated himself with the LSU fan base. Your morning sports update is brought to you by Pearl River Resort. Find them online at pearlriverresort.com. Your home for family fun, casino thrills, and live entertainment. That's Pearl River Resort. Online at pearlriverresort.com. Got an update for you from the Mississippi Lottery. We'll do that on the other side of this break. Thanks for being with us on this Tuesday morning. It's Mornings with Richard Cross.
No matter where you're from, Abbeville, Batesville, D'Iberville, or any other ville in the SIP, you're starting your day off right. Mornings with Richard Cross. Super Talk, Mississippi.
That music means it's time for your Mississippi Lottery update. Find them online at mslottery.com. The Mississippi Lottery. No jackpot winner with Powerball last night. The next drawing is coming up tomorrow, Wednesday, November 26th. Jackpot is up to $681 million. The estimated cash value, $315,700,000. Last night's numbers in the Powerball drawing, 8, 16, 26, 30, 58. The Powerball was 14, and the Power Play multiplier was 2. The lottery is on the road and celebrating its 6th anniversary at Tumsuba, Texaco in Tumsuba today. Is it Tumsuba or Tumsuba?
Tumsuba, and I'm sure they got great chicken.
I would imagine so. Tumsuba, Texaco. Tune in to the lottery's special edition Facebook Live starting at 10 o'clock this morning. Don't miss it. Set your reminder and tune into the Mississippi Lottery Facebook Live at 10 a.m. Follow the Mississippi Lottery on all social media to stay up to date with all things from the lottery. A Eupora man won $15,000 on 3 tickets from Tobacco Warehouse 40 in Eupora. That was on some Cash 4 tickets. Did you see what happened with Match 5? A Jackson woman won $470,000 on a ticket from Sprint Mart in Jackson. We told you about that yesterday. On the $2 $20,000 Power Shot scratch-off, a Sidon woman won a top prize of $20,000 on a ticket. She got it double quick in Greenwood and had a bunch of $5,000 winners on the full of 5,000s scratch-off. Be sure to grab your tickets. Make a great stocking stuffer as you move toward Christmas time as well. That's from the Mississippi Lottery, mslottery.com. So we told you right out of the gate this morning, you may very well have slept through it, but some pretty significant severe weather made its way through Mississippi in the overnight hours, especially in the Jackson metro area. Rough stuff. One tornado with a TDS. Is that a digital signal? Is that right?
I don't know. I don't want to lie.
It was confirmed in Hinds County. Warren County also had damage with downed trees and power lines. Hope that you will report any damage in your area to your insurance company and to local law enforcement so they can survey the damage as needed. Looks like we're in the clear now as the majority of these storms have made their way into the state of Alabama, but Birmingham North and some scattered thunderstorms around the Montgomery area going to be rough. You had thunderstorm wind damage in Newton County about 4 o'clock this morning. Lance was telling you a second ago, Hinds County, Rankin County, Madison County, you had the tornado sirens going off. At one point, you had a tornado warning in Kemper and Lauderdale counties. Thankfully, all of those have expired at this point. Meridian had a potential tornado a couple of hours ago. That rough stuff. And, Lance, it feels like the worst ones or the scariest ones are the ones when middle of the night, you're sleeping hard, you hear those sirens go off, haven't necessarily been watching weather on television or on your phone for the previous couple of hours and getting ready. It can be scary stuff.
Oh, yeah. I woke up, I don't know, and got some work done, and I was up for a few hours, and I finally said, I might go to bed. And all of a sudden it started thundering and lightning, and I enjoy that, especially when it's dark. It's kind of like being at deer camp, and it's the woods and something about a thunderstorm. But then all the sirens started going off, and you're like, oh, goodness, started herding everything back inside. And I sat there and listened to it for a while, and it definitely came in fast, a lot of wind, a lot of rain. And it's spooky at night, It's a little adrenaline going too. It's not what you want to be sleeping and hearing. I happen to be awake, so yeah. But yeah, those that were woken up by that, I'm sure it's extremely alarming, and hopefully there was no damage to people's life or property.
Yeah, you had it's like Kemper, Lauderdale, Hinds, Madison, and Rankin counties all had tornado warnings in the middle of the night. Those have all expired again as that line of storms has moved on to the east. C-Spire text line, 601-879-4395. Love for you to join the conversation there on the C-Spire text line. Sports Talk Mississippi this afternoon will be in Oxford at M-Trade Park to celebrate the beginning of Holly Jolly Holidays. It's open through January 4th. Oxford on Ice, presented by Oxford RX, got started yesterday, although the weather didn't really cooperate in North Mississippi for this last night. So today kind of going to be like the de facto opening day. The Walk of Lights is back this year. You've got fire pits and s'mores kits available. There's a new route for the Walk of Lights and special Thanksgiving hours. Today through Saturday, noon until 9 for Oxford on Ice, closed on Thanksgiving Day. The Walk of Lights gets started at 5 o'clock tonight and go until 9 o'clock, also closed on Thanksgiving Day. And also it is ice go-karts. Those are back. Start this afternoon at 5 o'clock. 7 o'clock hour coming up with you. It's Mornings with Richard Cross, SuperTalk Mississippi. The news is next.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, and callers on this show are not the opinions of TeleSouth Communications, its management, or advertisers.
All right, now to the important stuff.
Your VIP pass to hear what the most influential Mississippians are talking about.
This is very important.
Huge news. Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk Mississippi.
Mornings with Richard Cross is presented by Community Bank, rooted in our community, communitybank.net. At Community Bank, we're more than just a place to manage your money. We're your neighbors, your partners, and your trusted financial advisors. For decades, we've been rooted in our community, helping families, small businesses, and individuals achieve their dreams. Whether it's opening your first savings account, planning for a brighter future, or growing your business, we're here every step of the way. We're dedicated to our customers, committed to your success, and always here when you need us. Community Bank, rooted in our community, member FDIC. A reminder that this hour, this 7 o'clock hour of Mornings with Richard Cross, brought to you today and every day by MWG Employer Services. Running a business is tough, and if you're struggling with HR, benefits, and payroll, you're not alone. That's where MWG Employer Services comes in. They can provide a full range of employer services, plus a custom plan that fits you. Give them a call today, 601-206-7966, or go to mwgemployerservices.com. Always love hearing from you. The C-Spire text line is open at 601-879-4395. The best Black Friday and Cyber Monday deals are already live at cspire.com, like the new iPhone 17 Pro, free with trade-in. Get yours today at cspire.com. C-Spire, customer inspired. You may have seen this news late yesterday. A federal judge, it doesn't feel like many stories that start with a federal judge lately have been great news, especially if you are a fan of what this Republican administration is trying to do. A federal judge on Monday dismissed the criminal cases against former FBI Director James Comey and against New York Attorney General Letitia James. Why? Well, because that judge concluded that the prosecutor who brought the charges at the behest of President Donald Trump was illegally appointed to the Justice Department, or by the Justice Department. Judge Cameron McGowan Curry halted, at least for now, a pair of prosecutions that had targeted two of the president's most high-profile political opponents, and it amounts to a sharp rebuke of the Trump administration's legal maneuvering, according to the story at the Associated Press. The orders do not concern the substance of the allegations against Comey or James, but instead they deal with the unconventional manner in which the prosecutor, Lindsay Halligan, was named to her position as interim U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia. Defense lawyers said that the Trump administration had no legal authority to make the appointment. In a pair of similar rulings, Curry agreed and said the invalid appointment required the dismissal of the cases. I don't know if it's the speed at which those appointments happened, because the president does appoint U.S. attorneys all the time. From the ruling, quote, all actions flowing from Ms. Halligan's defective appointment were unlawful exercises of executive power and are hereby set aside. White House spokesman said the rulings will not be the final word on the matter. Pam Bondi vowed at an unrelated news conference that the Justice Department would pursue an immediate appeal. Prosecutors may also try to refile the charges, possibility left open by the judge's order. Especially with James Comey, it appeared this was going to be an uphill battle. You had seen the judge kind of press the prosecution for evidence through the discovery process that had to be shared with defense attorneys. The challenges to the appointment of Halligan are just one facet of a multi-pronged assault on the indictments by James and Comey, whose multiple other efforts to dismiss the cases remain unresolved. Both parties had separately asserted that the prosecutors were vindictive and emblematic of a weaponized Justice Department. Comey's lawyers last week seized on a judge's findings of a constellation of grand jury irregularities and missteps and cited outrageous government conduct. By the way, just editorializing here for a second, some of the same things that Donald Trump did not like about the way the DOJ was operating under the Biden administration, and yet it wasn't until Donald Trump was elected president. We talked earlier this morning when we were talking about things that happened on this day in history. It was a year ago today when Jack Smith finally dropped the charges against Trump because of presidential immunity. And so it wasn't until it was abundantly clear that Donald Trump was going to be in office that they were like, I don't know if we got a case here. We're going to drop this. And it's so fascinating that it has nothing to do with the merits of the case. It's a legal technicality. Now, people get off on legal technicalities all the time. You have certain things that have to be done. I have an attorney and a state senator right here in Mississippi who sends me a message, says that there's a 120-day interim period for U.S. attorney appointment, and that expired. So that was the reason that this was invalid. James Comey said, I'm grateful that the court ended the case against me, which was a prosecution based on malevolence and incompetence and a reflection of what the Justice Department has become under Donald Trump, which is heartbreaking. You know the joke about the world's tiniest violin playing just for you, James Comey? The truth of the matter is, James Comey, in his time as FBI director, did at best a bunch of shady stuff, and at worst was engaged in a conspiracy to oust Donald Trump and put him in jail as president. Letitia James, for her part, says, and this is with regard to mortgage fraud allegations, I am heartened by today's victory and grateful for the prayers and support I have received from around the country. Said that she remained fearless in the face of these baseless charges as she continues fighting for New Yorkers every single day. There's pretty clear evidence that Letitia James engaged in mortgage fraud. The problem here is that the Trump administration was not buttoned up. They didn't dot their I's and cross their T's. They didn't make sure that they had good legal standing in the way they brought what were not baseless charges, were charges that, if everything had been handled correctly, Mike could have gotten convictions. At issue in Curry's rulings is the mechanism the Trump administration employed to appoint Halligan, former White House aide with no prior prosecutorial experience, to lead one of the Justice Department's most elite and important offices. Halligan was named as a replacement for Eric Seibert, a veteran prosecutor in the office, an interim U.S. attorney who resigned in September amid Trump administration pressure to file charges against both Comey and James. He stepped aside after Trump told reporters that he wanted Seibert out. Following night, Trump said he would be nominating Halligan to the role of interim U.S. attorney, publicly implored Pam Bondi to take action against his political opponent, saying in a Truth Social post that, quote, "We can't delay any longer. It's killing our reputation and credibility. Justice must be served now." Comey was indicted 3 days after Halligan was sworn in by Bondi. James was charged 2 weeks after that. So here's the statute again. Attorneys general have the authority to name an interim U.S. attorney who can serve for 120 days. Lawyers for Comey and James argued that once that period expired, as it did in Seibert's case, the law gives federal judges in the district the exclusive authority to appoint a prosecutor to serve until the vacancy is filled. By making successive interim U.S. appointments on its own, defense lawyers said that the Justice Department did an end around with a well-established law. So again, nothing to do with the merits of the case. Nothing to do with whether these high-ranking public officials did wrong in their time of office. It was a technicality. But it was a technicality that a smart James Comey and his legal team were able to take advantage of.
Wake up, get up, and start your day right with Mornings with Richard Cross here on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Mornings with Richard Cross. Glad to be with you. Thanks for joining us on this 25th day of November, Tuesday, the Tuesday before Thanksgiving. When you start talking about the state retirement system, it's pretty easy to get bogged down in minutia and details. And if you're not really paying attention, it's a little difficult sometimes to understand exactly what the system is and what changes are being put in place. This past year during the legislative session, we saw the introduction of a new Tier 5 to the Mississippi State Retirement System. It's a new hybrid plan for all hires starting March 1st, 2026. The plan combines defined benefits and defined contribution and requires a 9% employee contribution, changes eligibility in terms of number of years of service, and more. And there is a group that is not so much pushing back on this new Tier 5 program, but saying our employees, our servants, civil servants, deserve a little bit better. It's the Mississippi First Responders Association, and to talk more about this, we are joined this morning by a couple of first responders. Jeff McCutchen is the police chief in Oxford. He's also the second vice president of the Mississippi Association of Chiefs of Police. And Josh Swales is the fire chief with the Reservoir Fire Department. Gentlemen, good morning to both of you.
Good morning, Rich.
Good morning.
Appreciate a little bit of your time. I feel like we're going to have to unpack this kind of in layers. And let's start with previously, prior to this past legislative session, what the retirement system was for first responders and other state employees. Where were you before we had the changes come into place? Jeff, let's start with you.
Yeah, so it's kind of moved just a little bit over my career. When I got in, I have to do 25 years, and then if you hit that 25-year mark, you're looking at 50% of your retirement, and then for every 2 years you stay on, it begins to add a little bit more to that retirement. About midway into my career, they pushed it to 30 years, which is where it's currently at, which, I still think that's pretty aggressive for a first responder. And then now we're talking about going to Tier 5, where you're getting into a conversation about 35 years. And again, for me, 25 years at 50%, now we're talking 35 years at 35%. Complete game changer for us in our profession as first responders.
And Josh, one of the things that people talked about during the legislative session a year ago was about recruitment for new first responders. So if you're grandfathered into the system, you're not affected by the changes that have gone into place. But for people that are coming on as new hires, that retirement benefit is not nearly as attractive in this Tier 5 system as it once was.
Oh, no, not at all. Actually, we saw probably a drop in 2011 when they changed it to the 30-year retirement. I believe that the recruitment itself went down as a whole statewide. If you look at the national average of first responders, they generally, firefighters in particular, obviously, since that's what I do, they generally work 25 to 30 years is the lifespan or the career span of a firefighter. And I think that this going to the 35 years is going to significantly hurt the recruitment side of our profession.
Josh, I don't know if I've seen it as much with police departments, but I know locally where I live, I live in Oxford, and I've seen a number of university employees through the years that went to work either right out of high school or right out of college, and they served their 25 years and then would transition kind of into a new phase of their career so that they could double dip from a retirement standpoint. Is that something that you've seen a lot of, where you had state employees that retired and then started a new career within the fire department? Absolutely.
That's a wonderful statement. So, if you think back when I started in the late 90s, it was a 25-year retirement system. Obviously, the pay wasn't that great. It's still low according to the national averages. We're still lower than other states. But one of the benefits that we could sell you on was you had a 25-year retirement. You could take half of that salary at the end of your 25 years. You could move on, start a whole nother career. If you started when you were 20 years old, at 45, you could just pick up, start a whole nother career, and do that for somebody else. And now with the 35 years, if you think about it, if you get a college graduate that may be 23, 24 years old, and they have to do a 35-year retirement, we're looking at somebody now that's going to be 59, maybe even 60 years old. And I can tell you that in our profession, there's only so many admin jobs statewide that I believe that you could truly do 35 years in. These guys ride in the fire truck every day, wearing the heavy gear that they wear, wearing 50 to 60 pounds of gear, being asked to carry 50 to 100 pounds or more of equipment on a scene, on an emergency scene. It gets tougher, obviously, as the older you get, and if we can't have something to offer those guys as they age, such as an admin spot, they're gonna obviously maybe get to the point where they're too old to be able to do the job.
Yeah, young man's game in a lot of scenarios. Jeff, what is it that the First Responders Association is asking for or proposing?
Yeah, I think we're proposing let's just go back to the drawing board. We've done a Stennis report. If you look at msfirstresponders.com, you can see this. You can look at that information on the website. And Josh hits all the points. I mean, what is so important to us is we're not better. We're just different. And the state's already identified that. We have a PTSD task force that is happening right now for first responders in Mississippi to talk about all these things. We're talking about mental health. We're talking about suicide rates. We're talking about heart disease, all the things that first responders are facing. And then we want to lump everybody in the PERS system together, and it's not the same. And Josh highlighted that. For us in law enforcement, if we hire you at 21, you can't even retire until you hit that 35-year mark. You know, who's going to be able to do this job at that age, right? Like, it makes no sense at 56 we're going to talk about retiring you. The life expectancy for a first responder in America is somewhere in between 57 and 66. So within 10 years, you served this profession your whole life, and within 10 years, you're gone at retirement. I think that's unacceptable. I think we can't talk about that and expect to continue to have people that want to be firefighters, that want to be police officers. They're going to move on to something else. And if we don't have those folks fighting fires and defending our community, where are we going to be in the next quarter century?
What kind of feedback have you gotten from the legislature, whether it's individual legislators or maybe leadership on either the Senate or House side? Or have you heard anything on this front? Josh, I'll start with you.
Yeah, so we're definitely in talk. We're so grateful for them to even come to the table and just sit down and hear what we have to say. First of all, that's key to all this, that we can just get them there and have these conversations with them. But I know Senator Joey Fillingane, they have started a draft. We're waiting on the second version of that one to come out, and they're going to introduce that one on the Senate side, obviously, when the session starts back. But there's also going to be another one dropped on the House side as well. But again, we're waiting on the second draft of that one to come out.
Jeff, what about you?
It's the same. We've seen positive conversation. You know, the legislature knows that the PERS has got to have some tweaks and some fixes. But currently what came out last year, that's not where we need to land. And so they are open to going back to the drawing board. So we've had really good conversation with them.
So this is going to sound a little bit like devil's advocate. Forgive me here. I just think to advance the conversation, we need to at least discuss this. I would agree with both of you that first responders' jobs are difficult. They're more intense. They're more labor intensive. They're more stress inducing than most other jobs that you would find within the state retirement system. But if you start cherry picking groups within PERS, okay, you're exempt from this new Tier 5, but teachers, for example, are not necessarily exempt. How do you justify that and that particular request, or is this something that you think the legislature is going to have to do with multiple employment categories or jobs?
Jeff, you want to answer that?
I think it's a great question, Richard. Yeah, I think it's a great question. But the challenge would be this. It is a tough conversation, but triage it. You don't go to the doctor and they treat everybody the same. You're going to a facility to receive treatment. Look at the data. Look at the information that is available, and we can't just say everyone is the same. It's not. It is different, and there are responsibilities that come with being a first responder, and the legislature has to do the right thing and take care of those men and women that are putting their life on the line, and it's just different, and you got to treat it different. There's 26 states that do something different.
Okay. If you guys don't mind, let's hang through the break and continue this conversation on the other side. Jeff McCutchen, Police Chief with the Oxford Police Department, and Josh Swales, Fire Chief with the Reservoir Fire Department. Mornings with Richard Cross, SuperTalk, Mississippi. We're back with you right after this.
From the Seabrook
of Mornings with Richard Cross is brought to you by Covington County Hospital in Collins, where your health matters.
It's happening. You're waking up to what's happening. Mornings with Richard Cross. Right now on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Somebody told me when I first got to Nashville, oh, she finally got it made.
Good to be with you again this morning. Mornings with Richard Cross, SuperTalk, Mississippi, presented by Community Bank, rooted in our community, communitybank.net. Jeff McCutchen is the police chief with the Oxford, Mississippi Police Department. Josh Swales is the fire chief with the Reservoir Fire Department in the Jackson metro area, the Reservoir area. And we're talking about a proposed change in the new retirement system, the new PERS system that is slated to go into effect March 1st, new hires after March 1st of 2026. as a result of some of the changes that were made during the most recent legislative session. I asked both of you about how receptive legislators have been. You talked about them coming to the table. I'm curious what action looks like. Obviously, there is a proposal from your association that is on the table, a suggestion, a proposal, however you want to describe it. What is it? What do the next steps look like for the First Responders Association working in conjunction with the legislature? Josh, I'll start with you on this. What do you want to see in terms of action?
Yeah, so one of the things that I was proud to see is that the House, they already had some House committee meetings talking about this. They invited in some surrounding states and talked to them about their retirement plans, specifically for first responders, and kind of looked into that to see, what options are out there, what they could possibly do as far as that goes. But, I hope that I think that at the end of the day that they're going to listen to us. I believe that they're going to really put some thought in it. I know these legislators have a really, really tough decision to make to shore up this PERS program. I totally understand that, but I know that in the past they've always really cared about the first responders. They've always held us to a high standard, to a high regard. And I really feel like they're going to listen to us at the end of the day and do anything that they can to be able to help us out. So we'll see how these drafts, this second draft ends up, and we're hoping that we get some good feedback from that, and it goes through smoothly.
Jeff, I know you were pretty plugged in during the last legislative session with your role in the state association, the chiefs of police, and also as the leader of the department in Oxford. So I know that you know the root of the changes that they were making to the retirement system were about long-term sustainability for PERS in Mississippi and kind of the liability that's out there in terms of dollars. It was a fiscal decision. In the absence of a change, is there a compromise that makes sense for first responders, maybe in a larger allocation for salaries that would help with recruiting, that would help with retention, if you can't get away from this new system that is in place?
Yeah, and we did discuss a lot of that. I just don't know from a business standpoint, when we talk about salaries or supplement pay, all those conversations happened, and I just don't know that it's there. And here's the truth. There are very good business men and women in the legislature, and that's what we're trying to tell them is you got to fix it because we're spending that local and state money right now because we're not keeping people. So what's happening is you're paying to hire, you're paying to send them to these trainings, then you have to equip them. And guess what? Now they're leaving, sometimes going to other states, and the state and the local agencies are fronting this money, and it's a budget drain already. So why not, let's just go fix this thing. Let's do it the right way. Let's answer the hard questions, and let's fix it because you're going to pay for it anyway. You're either paying for it on the front end or you're going to pay for it on the back end. So the money is the same. It doesn't make sense to not fix it.
I don't know if you guys were like this, but I feel like most kids that are roughly our age when they're growing up, and you had career day where you kind of picked what you wanted to be when you grew up, you were either going to be a professional athlete or you wanted to be a firefighter or a police officer. I don't know if kids think that way anymore, but I am curious when you're going through the hiring process, you're going through the recruiting process, is the pool of candidates smaller than maybe it once was, or is there a significant number of people that are still wanting to get into police work, to get into firefighting and the ancillary careers that go with that? Jeff, we'll start with you and then go to Josh. I'm curious the perspective from both of you on that.
So when I was trying to get hired, when I turned 21, I literally went door to door to agencies asking for a job. And there were no openings. You either had to know someone or you had to just luck up into a job. I had to literally go on the internet and look at U.S. jobs and put applications in because no one was hiring. And Richard, we'll have a board meeting December the 2nd, if somebody knocks on our door today, we can get them a PT test and a background check. We will hire them at Tuesday's board meeting because the candidacies it's just not what it used to be. Wow. And there's a lot of challenges that face that. But if you tell someone they're going to have to do 35 years, I think it's going to hurt your recruiting. It's going to destroy your retention when someone has done 15 years in this job. And then you tell them, oh, by the way, you've got 20 more years of this. They're going to go find something to do. And the communities are the ones who are going to be hurt because that experience, that community relationship with that officer, that firefighter is gone. And you start all over. It's a zero-sum game.
Josh, what about on the firefighting side?
Yeah, I think Jeff hit the nail on the head, really. So I started my career in 1998 as a career firefighter at Reservoir, and back then you almost had to know somebody to even try to get a foot in the door at any fire or police department back then. Over the years, it's come down drastically. There's been times in the last several years where we may have had 2 or 3 openings, and we didn't even have 2 or 3 applications to fill those spots. So yes, we've seen a drastic decline. One of the things about firefighting is this is a trade. You learn what you're doing every day on the job, and these trade jobs that are out there now that these young men and women are taking, they pay significantly more than the fire service does, and they're the same people that used to come to us and that would be terrific employees for us, just the hands-on type people that really like to learn a trade, like to work with their hands. So we've seen that side of the industry kind of pull a lot of our, candidates that direction, but we've definitely seen a decrease.
Josh, what's the starting salary for a firefighter that's, maybe just out of high school, just out of college, 21 years old, no experience?
Well, I can speak for the Reservoir Fire Department. Okay. I don't know all the surrounding agencies around us, but we start at $50,685.
Okay.
With that's no training.
Okay. Jeff, what about somebody that comes to you? They can pass that PT test. They've got a clean background check, but no law enforcement experience.
We'll get them in the door just over $52,000.
Okay. So those are competitive salaries for people coming in, and there are opportunities to advance, but it's really expensive right now, and $50,000 doesn't go near. I'm curious, Josh, 1998, when you came on board, do you remember your starting salary?
Yes, sir, I do. It was $15,000.
$15,000. What about you, Jeff?
It was just a little over 30.
Okay. I don't know, Josh, you might have gotten in the wrong field.
I got a $500 raise after that for completing the fire academy, and another $500 for finishing the EMT class. So I thought I was doing pretty well back then. But
when you got from $15,000 to $16,000, that's big time progress.
We really have. I work for a board of commissioners at my fire department, and they've really put a lot of emphasis over the last 3 to 4 or 5 years of driving those salaries up. They've given some pretty good raises over the years. We had to. Like I said, we were at that point where we would have several positions open and no applications, and it's hard to entice somebody when you tell them the starting salary is $28,000 or $30,000. I mean, you can't hardly afford to live this day on that kind of salary.
We got a question a moment ago on the C Spire text line when we started this conversation. Somebody asked why linemen were not considered to be first responders. We know the work that they do is dangerous. They're in terrible weather. When the power goes out, they hit the road, and we rely on them heavily. Is that a group that should be added under the first responders umbrella?
Jeff, you want me to answer that?
Josh, you threw me the hard question last time.
I got you. No problem. I'll take it. Those guys, I got some really good friends of mine that are linemen, and they definitely put their life on the line every single day, not just in disasters. I mean, you think about the amount of car wrecks and things that we respond to where there's power lines down on the ground, and these guys, they really do risk their lives. And I do know I was talking to one of the local fire chiefs yesterday, and I know there's some more meetings before this second draft comes out, and they were looking at adding more, areas of profession into this bill. Okay. So I wouldn't say it completely would get ruled out. I think I think a large portion of them, though, they may work for the private industry. I know you do have
I think
some
in some cases,
public. Yeah.
So, I think it's a mix there. Chief Josh Swales, Reservoir Fire Department, Chief Jeff McCutchen, Oxford Police Department, thanks to both of you for your time this morning, and wish you and your families a happy Thanksgiving.
My pleasure. Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving.
We're going to continue this conversation as we visit with legislators leading into and during the session. We'll ask these questions. Promise you that, and won't let this one just die. It's a fascinating conversation. Mornings with Richard Cross, Super Talk Mississippi. More with you after this.
Waking up Mississippi. From South Haven to Scuba, it's Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk Mississippi.
Travel all around, all across this country. Met a lot of people, made a lot of friends. She got the feeling of a swamp plane running through her blood. She going back home, but she don't know when.
Got your messages coming in on the C Spire text line. 601-879-4395. Ready for the best Black Friday and Cyber Monday deals. They're on right now at C Spire. Like any new iPhone, up to $1,000 off with trade-in, plus a free Apple Watch SE to go with it. Or for Samsung fans, you can get the new Galaxy S25 free today. No trade-in needed. The best Black Friday and Cyber Monday deals go fast. So don't wait. Shop now at cspire.com or visit your local C Spire store today. C Spire, customer inspired. So your messages kind of ran the gamut during that conversation, and I appreciate Jeff and Josh both for their input, for kind of bringing us up to date on what this proposal is from the First Responders Association. Some of your messages were related to who should be considered first responders, and don't forget about this group, and we just were talking with representatives for police and fire. Sheriff's departments, EMT, all the law enforcement agencies all fall into that first responders category. Nobody is intentionally being left out. We were just specifically talking to them as representatives of. We got a number of questions about linemen. And some people said, hey, linemen work for private companies, not public. In some cases, yes, but not in all cases. Obviously, you've got a lot of public utilities with your local electric departments, in which case those men and women are state employees. Yes, your private utilities, that's a different retirement system for those line workers. I brought up the question of teachers when we were talking with the chiefs just a moment ago. Not to push back on what they are trying to accomplish for their members, for their colleagues, but simply to say or ask the question, and it's a question that you better believe is going to come up in the legislature if they continue to look at the issue of PERS and Tier 5 and the benefits versus the drawbacks. Okay, if you do this for first responders, who we all agree are an incredibly vital and important part of state government, of local government. What about teachers? Because they also are an incredibly important and vital piece of this. So if you create a carve-out within PERS for first responders, do you also have to create a carve-out in PERS for teachers? And are there other professions that we deem vitally important to the overall well-being of our state and our local communities so that they deserve some sort of a carve-out as well? It turns into a slippery slope pretty quickly. And I do think you have to remember that the backdrop for all of this discussion and the reason that there was a change in the PERS system in this past legislative session in the first place was because PERS, as it has existed, is broken and unsustainable. Feels like there are a couple of talking points we got to go back to also, right? One of those talking points is, if you're already part of the PERS system, nothing is changing. I remember Senator Daniel Sparks beating the table, nothing is changing if you're already in the system. Because you get into the retirement system conversation and it gets prickly in a hurry. The hairs on the backs of people's necks stand straight up, and they're like, whoa, retirement, no, this is my money that you're talking about. There's a story on Magnolia Tribune that had a graph that I really liked. Fiscal year 2024 report. It looks at retirees in the PERS system, inactive members, and then active members of PERS. 2014 through 2024, year over year, there was an annual increase in the number of retirees in the system. In 2014, there were 96,000 retirees in PERS. Then it went to 99, then 102, then 104, then 107, then 110, then 112, then 114, then 116, then 118, then 120. So 24,000 additional employees or former employees went into PERS over the last 10 years. Meanwhile, active members, those who are working and are contributing to PERS, which helps fund the retirement system, with the exception of 1 year in that same decade-long window, the workforce has gotten smaller, from 162 to 157,000 to 154 to 153 to 151, 151, 150, 146. So while the retirement age pool has gotten larger, the working population contributing to PERS has gotten smaller. Another reason that this just wasn't sustainable as it existed. We're back with you right after this.
You want to know what's happening in Mississippi politics?
Yes.
You're in the right place. Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi.
And talking in your sleep. Doesn't matter where you've been, as long as it was deep, yeah. You always knew to wear it well, and you look so fancy, I can tell. I don't mind you hanging out and talking in your sleep. I guess you're just what I need.
Tuesday morning, November 25th, rolling into the 8 o'clock hour. We appreciate you being with us. This is Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi, streaming at supertalk.fm and SuperTalk TV. This hour of Mornings with Richard Cross is presented by Pine Grove Behavioral Health and Addiction Services in Hattiesburg. 1-888-574-HOPE. That is the number for you to get in touch with the folks at Pine Grove Behavioral Health and Addiction Services, or visit them online at pinegrovetreatment.com. That's pinegrovetreatment.com. Lance, I feel like we're in last January and February all over again. You remember how passionate the positions were when we started talking about retirement.
Oh, yeah. It's always a touchy subject, too, once you spend a ton of time in and it's time to do something else, potentially.
Well, and you immediately get into the whataboutism. If you were talking, and I'm not saying that's wrong, but it just highlights and underscores how much passion exists when you talk about retirement benefits for those who have put in their time or are putting in their time. So let's go through some of your messages. C-Spire text line, 601-879-4395. Check out cspire.com for all of their Black Friday and Cyber Monday deals available right now. Big savings for you, cspire.com. C-Spire, customer inspired. Moe's, teachers have been given pay raises over the last few years. It's time for others to catch up. The counter from teachers would be, Well, one, they deserve the pay raises, and two, they haven't gone far enough. Not saying that's right or wrong. I'm just saying that's the counter argument to that statement, Mose. Somebody says adjusting the retirement system specifically for first responders is not a slippery slope. A 60-year-old firefighter and a 60-year-old teacher are not the same. I agree they are not the same, but I don't know that I would argue that one is more important or one is less vital than the other. I recognize that they are different. The physical demands on a teacher are not the same as the physical demands on a firefighter or a law enforcement officer. It's a different type of stress. It's a different type of psychological weight. But there are a lot of our teachers who are exposed daily to a pretty high level of stress. And they certainly carry an immense amount of responsibility. Thomas says, them entitled boomers get fiery, don't they? I think you're painting with a pretty broad brush when you say entitled. I don't think young people think about retirement enough. They think they will handle that later down the road. If they can land a career with a good retirement plan as early as possible, they will not have the fear of running out of money during retirement. It's sad seeing the elderly people that are forced to work in their retirement. Yeah, but generally speaking, your retirement plan is not enough on its own. In a perfect world, you have other investments that you've made along the way. I suppose in a perfect world, the retirement money and Social Security benefits that you receive in retirement are enough for you to live on because you've been really smart with money and you've paid off whatever debt you have and a house and all of those things. But that's not always the reality. You get later into life, and while you were working to pay off a house note and car notes and whatever other debt went along with it, prices continue to go up. And, oh, by the way, you've got a wedding or two and an education or two that you got to pay for, if you're able. Or you choose to pay for, maybe would be the better way to describe that. This will hopefully bring why not take the average salaries across our country and add 3% on top of that and let those be the starting salaries. Do this for each specific area of first responders, teachers, etc. Let's make Mississippi the benchmark for the country. I think if you've got an unlimited amount of resources, that's a great idea. But we don't have the money tree in the backyard also. Mose says, Richard, the teachers want all of the state money. I have talked to legislators and said, look, we feel like we have done right by teachers in recent years. That hasn't always been the case in Mississippi. Education went underfunded for a long time. There have been multiple teacher pay raises and significant funding changes for primary education in Mississippi over the last, 5 to 10 years? A lot of good steps. There was a lot of work that needed to be done, but a lot of it is really good. The changes to PERS are having an effect on hiring at the universities, all the way down to entry-level jobs within facilities maintenance departments, such as custodians and maintenance workers. The pay has been increased over the last 2 years to help, but now moving the retirement goalposts have negated those increases. The shortage of good employees, even down at this level, is going to hurt all of us taxpayers in the long run. There used to be a waiting list even for those jobs. Now there is nobody interested in filling them. The decrease in active PERS members that I mentioned going to the break is because of the low wages and the Well, it's not just because of low wages. It's also because you have more people that are cycling into retirement age than are coming into the workforce. Alan says, I'm a boomer and I'm not fired up yet. I will say the only reason I taught for 21 years in Mississippi was because of the PERS benefits. Otherwise, I would have left 10 years sooner. Gary in Carrollton. This so-called entitled boomer works his hiney off every single day. No formal retirement here. Mike in Gulfport points out that many corporations no longer have pension plans. They have profit-sharing plans, but even that is not enough. Retirement planning, or as I studied it in college, estate planning, really not optional. I've just kind of convinced myself that I'm probably going to have to work forever. I think I'd get bored. Hopefully the number of days or the number of hours goes down at some point. But the idea of just shutting it down, at least I'm not there yet in terms of like looking to the future. Lance, I don't know. I think you're what, 5 years older than I am? Is that right?
I'm 51. So
you're 6 years older than I am. And you're a worker. I mean, you and I talked about that yesterday morning. You wake up, you go to work because it's what you do, and it's what you expect to do, and it's what you even like doing, whether it's this job or another job. Have you ever envisioned, hey, 15 more years, 10 more years, 12 more years, whatever the number is, and I'd really like to just shut it down?
No, not at all. I mean, I'm not married, and so I don't have another income to pair kind of with it. So I mean, life just takes most of what I make, and that's just the way it is. $1 million in 2020 is equivalent to 1.258 today. That's a 25.8% decrease in purchasing power. So,
and that's in 5 years.
5 years. I mean, that's your problem. We can talk about all the fundings and all that, but when you're losing 25.8% of your purchasing power in 5 years, and you've been making $50,000, you got a problem. $1 million or $250K in income is a little different, but a lot of folks when that 50, 60, 70 is really going to apply. It's just the way it is.
And it's still hard to wrap your mind around, right? Because for the majority of us, if you had a parent, so I'm 40, I'm 45. I just turned 45. So I think back to when I was 10 years old, so 35 years ago. We're talking 1990. If you had a parent that made between $40 and $50, $50 and $60, $60 and $70,000 a year, you were decidedly middle class and could afford a home and the payments that went with it, and to be able to go on vacation and to even save a little bit. If you're in that $40,000 to $70,000 range right now, I'm not saying it's paycheck to paycheck, but you spend just about all of your dollars every single month just on the essentials: gas, rent, mortgage, car payment, clothes, the occasional splurge. Takes a lot more right now. We'll be right back.
Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Welcome to the show. I'm having daydreams about night things in the middle of the afternoon, and every night you make my daydreams come true.
Egg Bowl week is here. All this week on Sports Talk Mississippi, you'll hear interviews, former players from Ole Miss and Mississippi State, some insight and analysis on what may be the biggest Egg Bowl of all time. Maybe. Suppose that's up for debate. And they will debate it all week long. Special edition of Sports Talk Mississippi coming up Friday morning from 6 until 9 in this time slot. This here time slot. Mornings with Richard Cross will step aside and make way for Brian Haydad and Michael Borky to get you ready for the battle for the Golden Egg. And don't forget, Sports Talk Mississippi this afternoon will be in Oxford as Visit Oxford kicks off the Holly Jolly holidays. To learn more, go to visitoxfordms.com. or just listen to Sports Talk Mississippi this afternoon from 3 until 6. I know we don't normally lean this heavily on the text line, but some of your comments are really interesting on this retirement conversation. And if you missed the interview that we had with Chief Josh Swales of the Reservoir Fire Department and Chief Jeff McCutchen of the Oxford Police Department, this all started talking about a proposal that they have for an alteration to the PERS changes from a year ago, specifically for first responders. And it's kind of evolved into a larger conversation about retirement and the state of the retirement system in the state of Mississippi. David on the res says, I'll have to work until noon on the day of my funeral and dig my own grave. Jim in Ripley says, don't worry, guys. I'm 65. Still don't know when I'll be able to call it quits. I guess when the Lord calls me home. Tim in McGee says, I'm 12 years older than Lance, and I never want to retire. We're throwing those numbers around a few minutes ago about making more, but it not going as far. This person says, I make $76,000 a year, and I live paycheck to paycheck. Mike in Gulfport says, I'm still working at 78. Gerard isn't that old, but he's still at it. Retirement is a personal decision, and some of us just aren't ready at older ages. I tried at 60. I tried again at 70, and it just didn't fit me. Lance, this, I think, is a cosign on what you were saying just a moment ago, where our focus really needs to be. The purchasing power of our money needs to be the biggest talking point we have. It's sad how horrible it is to see how short our money goes nowadays. My grandparents never made over $100,000 combined in a year, and they had a huge, full life helping people financially and taking vacations. I make over that by myself, and I can barely afford to take a vacation once every few years.
Yeah. Did this a long time. Never saw inflation erode away the purchasing power of people's savings as much as I've seen it in 5 years. I mean, I don't think you could combine 25 years and get up to 25.8%. But, you know, I think that's even being extremely generous because you take out so many different things such as food and gas of the CPI. You know, so you're not really getting a full picture, rents and those things. So I think 5.8% is very low as to what actual inflation has been over that time period. So, yeah, the loss of purchasing power is significant. And to me, that's what we really need to be focusing on, but they don't ask me.
Let's see here. Tim in Tupelo says, I'm taking retirement at 62 ASAP. I've been working since I was 15 or 16 years old. I just turned 59. If you can at all afford it, take it at 62. You may not make it to full retirement age. That's a different perspective as well.
I usually recommended the same thing, depending upon, you know, what the client was looking at. You don't know when you're going to keel over, you know, so
die.
Yeah, so 62 or 65 or what, it's really a personal decision.
Thomas in Greenwood says, Trump says there's no inflation. I don't think he says well, maybe he does say there's no inflation. But it is true that inflation has stabilized over the last year. We've seen inflationary numbers go down. Now, I don't know that we're feeling it in our pocketbooks.
Well, unless somebody's received a pretty significant pay raise over this time period, even if inflation's
still behind.
Yeah, even if inflation's flat, you're still behind.
Yeah. $1 million used to be the goal for a lot of retirements. I don't know what the new goal should be. $6, $7, $10 million? Well, I mean, if you're using really conservative numbers, if you retire with $1 million nest egg and you don't want to touch the principal, you should be able to take, $50,000 a year based on interest at 5%. And the hope would be that combining that with your Social Security and whatever retirement you have, you know, you're at a comfortable living level. But maybe that number needs to be more like $2 million or $3 million. I mean, it depends on lifestyle and it depends on debt load when you retire and step away and all of those things. Debbie in Ocean Springs says, I can't retire until 65 because I can't afford the insurance. He goes, I mean, that's another thing. And Thomas points out that inflation is still outpacing wage increases. Thomas, you must live high on the hog. You say, I think I'll have to have over $10 million in my 401k before I can retire given inflation. I mean, if you need to draw $500,000 a year, maybe so. Is that number way out of whack, Lance? 10 million?
It just depends on how you would like to live in retirement, I suppose. I mean, if you were used to living off $200K a year, your savings need to be much higher than $1 million, obviously. But
yeah,
if you want
more like 4, right?
Yeah. So
4 or 5.
Multiple. I always use $1 million times 5. A tax-free rate of return of 5% on $1 million is $50K in your pocket without income tax. Add your Social Security to that, and maybe some of your other things that you have coming in, and hopefully you're getting around that 90 to 100K. But, I mean, that's case-sensitive to each person.
I feel like the conversation around National Guard in cities has gone quiet. Maybe it's just because of our attention span is so small. Memphis is one of the cities where a task force came in that included, at least in part, National Guard. In Memphis, over the last few months, they have made thousands of arrests, but now there is a secondary problem that goes along with that. And that's overcrowded jails and overworked court systems. Since late September, hundreds of federal, state, and local law enforcement personnel tied to the Memphis Safe Task Force have made traffic stops, served warrants, and searched for fugitives in the city of about 610,000. More than 2,800 people have been arrested and more than 28,000 traffic citations have been issued. The task force, which includes National Guard troops, is supported by the Republican governor in Tennessee, Bill Lee, and others who hope that the surge reduces crime in a city that has been struggling with violent crime, including nearly 300 homicides last year and nearly 400 in 2023. Pam Bondi was in Memphis yesterday to meet with officers and tout the success of the task force. But when asked about the strain on local criminal justice systems, U.S. Marshals Service Director Serralta, I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce his last name, said authorities are bringing as many cases as they can into federal court. Said federal officials are open to working with state prosecutors to find ways to speed up prosecutions. Director Serralta said if we don't speed up the process, it's going to continue to back up because we can't put them through the criminal justice system. Because we can't put them in the criminal justice system doesn't mean it's a free pass to commit crimes. We're going to keep arresting folks. They keep committing crimes. We're going to keep arresting them. Yet not arresting people for those crimes puts us in the place we were in a year ago, where violent criminals were being released onto the streets over and over and over. Josh Spickler is executive director for Just City, a Memphis-based organization that advocates for fairness in the criminal justice system, and he says the human cost of it is astounding. So don't commit the crimes. Right? What's your level of concern that the jails are too crowded or that the criminal justice system is moving too slowly? There is the district attorney in Memphis, Steve Mulroy, says the task force deployment probably could have used more planning. More thought could have been put into the downstream effects of the increased number of arrests. So what's your solution, Mr. Mulroy? Just keep letting criminals go? Cashless bail? No accountability? Regular capacity of the jail in Memphis is 2,400. I mean, that's 201 Poplar. Had an average daily population of 3,195 inmates in September. Whew. Robert St. John is going to join us coming up next. We're going to talk turkey sides, and more with one of Mississippi's greatest chefs.
From the Seabrook Doctor.
Find out what's happening across your state. Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi.
So we got a couple of news items we need to get to this morning, including what appears to be good news from Ukraine, that Ukraine appears to be agreeing to a peace deal with some minor details between Russia and Ukraine still to be decided. So we'll get to that in the final segment this morning with you. It is my pleasure to welcome my friend Robert St. John to the conversation this morning. I said he is one of Mississippi's best chefs before the break, and that's really probably selling him short because he's also an author and a restaurateur and a global travel expert, especially when it comes to making your stomach feel wonderful or full, at least. Robert, good morning.
Richard, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing well. Happy Thanksgiving to you and to your family. I know it's a fun time for so many people. For a lot of people, Thanksgiving might even be their favorite holiday, perhaps edging Christmas out. And it's about kind of gathering around the table and reconnecting in a lot of cases.
You know, and I think it means a little more in Mississippi. We are, there's something about being an agrarian society and gathering around the table. We're more family-oriented. We're more hospitable. And so I think that really, really blends in with Thanksgiving. In addition to that, the food's just better down here.
Food is really, really good. You have a new book that is available for pre-order right now. I've told you many times before that my favorite of your books is one that you did about 20 years ago, and it was the New South Grilling book. I still love it. We still use it all the time. This one is called Mississippi Christmas Holiday Recipes and Reflections from Home.
Yeah, so the book, it was really about 10 or 15 years in the making on that one. I had a 3-book deal with a New York publisher back. Actually, the grilling book was one of those books. And I wanted to do a Christmas book then. And the New York guys said, no, we don't do Christmas. It'll have to be a holiday book. And I said, well, let's just forget it. We do Christmas down here.
Mm-hmm. And, good for you.
And so it's been in the back of my mind, and I've wanted to do it for a long time. We did all the recipe testing 2 years ago, and I was going to release it last Christmas. But I also had this Eudora Welty book that came out that Anthony Thaxton and I worked on. And I didn't want 2 books at once, didn't want to compete with that. It was too important. So pushed it again to this year. So this is really something. The book was released just a little over a week ago. I was up in your part of the world Thursday night. We did Thacker Mountain Radio and did a great signing there at Square Books. Traveled all over the state last week. I'm taking a week off this week, but I'll crank back up next week. And it's really, I'm not just saying this. I really think, and a lot of it is because I've wanted to do this book for so long, but also it's Christmas, and Christmas is my holiday. Thanksgiving's my number 2.
Okay.
But I'm a Christmas guy, and it really covers the food we eat from Thanksgiving through Christmas, through that whole season. And one recipe, and I want to make this available to your viewers and listeners, that we're putting up on the website right now. It is the turkey and gravy to end all turkey gravy recipes. I promise you. I'm not just saying that. You're not even going to have to buy the book because I'm going to put the recipe up and everybody can access it. But
you should still buy the book. If for no other reason, it is a great gift, and all of Robert's books are beautiful. They're great coffee table books, but they're also more functional than that. There you go.
I won't argue with that, Richard. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
But So we tested these recipes about 2 years ago. And when you're doing that, there are 100 and some odd recipes, and it takes weeks, and you're totally submerged in tasting. And then, we took a year and a half off, and we had the book launch week ago Sunday.
Okay.
And we made recipes out of the book. It was a huge line out the door, and I was signing books and doing it. We served food from the book. I didn't even get to eat it, but everybody kept coming by the signing table saying, that gravy. And I was like, yeah, it's good. I didn't remember it. And once everybody had left and things had settled down, I went over Chef Neville Barr at the restaurant. I said, I need to try this gravy everybody's talking about. I don't remember it being that, off the chain when we were testing it. And sure enough, I tried it. And you think gravy is gravy, but this is leveled up gravy. And so, I wanted to make that and the way we roast the turkey is going to be available to people once this interview. If you just go to robertstjohn.com, and you guys are going to link it. But make that gravy. It's off the chain.
All right, so you may already be locked in on your plans for Thanksgiving, what you're going to do with your turkey. You may not feel like it's the right time to shift course, but we've got the entire holiday season, and so you can go turkey for Christmas, or you can just go turkey on a Tuesday if you want to try this. Let's dive into this turkey recipe and the gravy that goes with it that you say is the be-all, end-all.
It is. So, I don't know, if you got a book in front of you, go to 62, and that's where the recipe for the gravy. Here's the thing. If somebody's already got plans for the turkey, they're going to smoke it, they're going to fry it, they're going to roast it. Do that. Do your turkey thing.
Okay.
But take the neck and make this turkey stock that's in the book. You roast the bones, and that adds a level of flavor. You roast them really for about an hour. You go 30 or 40 minutes. Turn them. That gets those good brown bits on the bottom. You're going to deglaze with wine. You're going to make a turkey stock with those roasted bones, and then at the end, I'm going to just look at it right here. I know we add a little thyme, a little sweet basil, some lemon juice for some acid. It's basically, that's it, but it's the steps, and it's roasting those bones. Okay. And then adding the wine to deglaze, and those little herbs and the acid with the lemon juice at the end. And I'm just going to tell you, it levels up. So even if you have plans, you still got to make gravy, and make the gravy that will do there. All
right. So is this a thick gravy, or is this one of the ones that's more a little more? There's so many different kinds of gravy. People go white gravy, brown gravy. You've got thick gravy. You've got runny gravy. You've got red eye gravy. All the different options. Yeah. How do you describe this?
It's a little viscous, mine, and that just depends on how much roux you put in there. But I don't like it too watery. Okay. And my grandmother always used. I'm drawing a blank on it now. Kitchen bouquet. And kitchen bouquet is just reduced kind of vegetables, and it adds color. And so I like my turkey gravy to be kind of a caramel brownish kind of color, not really pale yellow. That doesn't work for me. The turkey's already that color. So you don't add flavor with kitchen bouquet, but you can add a little color there. I have a quick question for you, Richard.
All right, tell it.
Are you a marshmallows on your sweet potatoes or a no marshmallow on your sweet potato?
I can go either way. I like the marshmallows on there, but the brown sugar is more important to me than the marshmallows.
Well, that's almost the right answer. I am totally anti-marshmallow.
Okay.
I am not. I had some of my family were marshmallow people. I do this thing with pecans and walnuts, and actually there's a secret ingredient in that, and I'm gonna tell your listeners what that is now, and it's Rice Krispies. And you mix some brown sugar and a little butter, pecans, walnuts, and some Rice Krispies in there, and it adds a little airiness. And you put that on top, and you'll never eat you'll never eat marshmallows on your sweet potatoes again.
All right, let me ask you this, and I ask this because it's personal. My son has a tree nut allergy, so no pecans, no walnuts. I mean, he can do peanuts. That's fine. So can you do this same mixture and just hold the nuts?
I might go marshmallows in that case.
Okay. All right.
I might, but I don't think peanuts would work. It's a whole different flavor profile.
Well, no. I'm saying no nuts at all. Can you just do it without the pecans or the walnuts in it?
Yeah. Give that a shot with just the Rice Krispies or whatever. Yeah. That'd be interesting.
Little crunch to it as well. No, it was interesting. Amen. Last year. Somebody forgot that Obi had a tree nut allergy, my son, and he loves sweet potato casserole, sweet potatoes with the kind of brown sugar on top. And so my mother-in-law, Thanksgiving night, went back into the kitchen and made him a pan of sweet potato casserole with the brown sugar, kind of the glaze on top, and he was in heaven. So
that's a good grandma right there.
There's no question. Well, and my grandmother, when I was growing up, I didn't like pecans. I wasn't allergic to them. I just didn't like them. She made me a pecan pie without pecans one year. And so I would put her in the good grandmother category as well. The new book is called Robert St. John's Mississippi Christmas. You can go to his website, robertstjohn.com. You can order that now. You can buy it at local bookstores all across the state of Mississippi. He's going to put this turkey and gravy recipe on the website. We're going to link that from Morning's Cross. I'll do it from my personal Twitter account as well, and we'll make sure that you get that. Robert, wish you and your family a happy Thanksgiving. Thanks so much, my friend.
Richard, thanks for all you do, not only for the state of Mississippi, but I love you're such a good sports broadcaster as well. You're a true Renaissance man. And
from the White House to your hometown, this is where you find out what's happening. Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Chad and Van Cleve on the C Spire text line. Lance, what was Robert's last name?
St. John. Yeah.
There you go.
That's an easy one, man. I got that one right.
RSJ. RobertStJohn.com is his website. You will not be disappointed if you get that new book. It is priced at $39.95. I said that earlier. We've got a bunch of Robert's cookbooks. New South Grilling is my favorite. We've got both a Mississippi palette and an Italian palette. Those are beautiful books. He did those in conjunction with Wyatt Waters. So it's watercolor painting all throughout the book, mixed in with recipes and some stories. It is spectacular. I think we've got Mississippi Mornings as well, which is one of his newer books. Like, if you like how books look in your house beyond just their functionality of, hey, they've got great recipes in them, I promise you will not go wrong with either getting one of those for yourself or buying them as a gift. In fact, we relied on a Mississippi palette for several years as Christmas gifts to others, and they were always a hit. Mississippi Christmas will be also. I want to tell you about my friends at David Fisher Land Company. If you're in the market for land, buying or selling, whether you're looking for 100 acres or several thousand acres, you're looking for farmland, an investment property, hunting property, they've got it all. The website is davidfisherland.com. We've been telling you about David Fisher Land Company since, I think, around the 1st of July. And they are continuing to ramp up the number of listings that they've got available on their website. There is a new listing in Humphreys County. It's called Eagle Lake. It's a mix of farmland, and there's some timber on it. Butt Bayou is also available in Humphreys County. And, yes, it is maybe the ultimate hunting property. You got rolling hills, you've got farmland, you've got wooded areas, and a whole lot more. Go to their website. DavidFisherland.com. Again, DavidFisherland.com. David, Jack, Travis, they would all love to help you. They work in Mississippi primarily, but they're also fully licensed and active in Louisiana and Arkansas, especially the Arkansas Delta, the Louisiana Delta, but all over those states. And they would love the opportunity to earn your business, to help you. You can trust them. I give David Fisher Land Company my personal stamp of approval. I don't know that that's worth anything, But I will tell you that they are outstanding people. They're honest. They're fair. They're going to help you with what you're looking for, whether it's to find a buyer for a property that you've got or to purchase a piece of property for yourself. DavidFisherLand.com, DavidFisherLand.com. I mentioned Ukraine just a moment ago, and that is a breaking story that is happening really this morning, almost in real time. Ukraine has agreed to a peace deal that would see an end to the war with Russia, a U.S. official told Fox News. Some minor details of the agreement are still to be sorted out. Spokesman for the U.S. Army Secretary Dan Driscoll, Lieutenant Colonel Jeff Tolbert, told Fox News that Driscoll and his team met with Russian officials in Abu Dhabi Monday and Tuesday to discuss the framework for a peace deal between Ukraine and Russia. The talks are going well, and we remain optimistic. Secretary Driscoll is closely synchronized with the White House and the U.S. interagency as these talks progress, said the spokesman. This kind of went a little crazy. There was a diplomatic fury over the weekend after a leak of a 28-point peace plan was revealed to Axios. There were a lot of European leaders and U.S. lawmakers that says that agreement was favorable only to Russia. They have worked to massage that agreement, with Secretary of State Marco Rubio leading the way. His involvement and input reportedly has been key with Ukrainian and European officials, and they have landed on what appears to be a better plan. This comes in the immediate aftermath of Russia launching an overnight attack into Kiev, an attack that killed at least 6 people and injured 13 more. It was a strike on a residential building and civilian infrastructure, all while they are meeting and trying to discuss a peace plan. It feels like there's always a flurry at the end. Ugh. So here's hoping that finally an end can come for this so incredibly unnecessary war that has ravaged those countries for the last 3 years. Don't forget about Belk Ford and Oxford Toyota. If you're in the market for a new or previously owned vehicle, they've got you covered. Great selection on the lot. I pulled through just a couple of nights. I guess it was night before last. Got a bunch of Ford Rangers on the lot. Great-looking mid-size pickup. Good selection of F-150s, F-250s, Expeditions, in addition to all of the previously owned vehicles on the lot. A great sales team, a great service department, the best financing options you will find anywhere, including 0% for 60 months on new F-150s, and then also some rebates that are still on the table that go with a sliding interest scale. Reach out to them, belkford.net, oxfordtoyota.com. Give them a call or stop by on Highway 6 West in Oxford. Thanks for being with us on this Tuesday morning. We'll be back at it tomorrow on Thanksgiving Eve. For Lance, I'm Richard. This is Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk, Mississippi. Have a great Tuesday.
A Super Talk Mississippi media production.